Welcome to The Authority File, the podcast where you'll hear conversations with academic librarians, technologists, researchers, and authors whose work is laying the foundation for higher education's future. I'm Bill Mickey, your host and the editorial director at Choice. If you're new to The Authority File, you can listen to and find previous episodes on all of the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and on our website, choice360.org. Academic libraries are changing. There's no doubt about that. Spaces, access, and formats are being redefined. And in some operational areas, COVID has quickened the pace of change, while in others, libraries are adapting in the face of shrinking budgets, shifting institutional priorities, and new opportunities with digital resource acquisition and management. In this 4-part series, which is provided with support from OverDrive, my guests and I discuss these changes as they impact the academic library community, including the publishers and vendors who serve it. Joining me are Tracy Holtman, Associate Director of Access and Collection Services at Tarleton State University, Susanna Smith, Acquisitions Librarian at Georgia Highlands College, Paige Clunie, Digital Partnerships Manager at Princeton University Press, and Stephen Rosato, General Manager at OverDrive Academic. In this first episode, we talk about some of the ways in which libraries are optimizing their services and taking an even more active role in research workflows. Okay, welcome to the program, everybody. So we'll kick it off with some introductions. We're really fortunate to have an excellent group of guests for this series. And so I'd like to have each of you just very briefly introduce yourselves, your job titles, where you're working. And Susanna, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Hi, I'm Susanna Smith. I'm an assistant professor of library and information science at Georgia Highlands College. I'm the acquisitions librarian, and I'm also an instructional designer. GHC is primarily a 2-year access college with a few bachelor's programs. We have 5 locations with 4 libraries.
Excellent. And Tracy?
Hi, I'm Tracy Holtman. I'm the Associate Director for Access and Collection Services at Tarleton State University in Stephenville, Texas. We are a doctoral granting university, although we have mainly undergraduate and graduate programs. We have 5 campuses, but the Stephenville is the primary largest campus. We are part of the Texas A&M University system. We're the second largest university after College Station.
Okay, and Steve, how about you?
Hi, Stephen Rosato. I am the General Manager for OverDrive Academic. I've been with OverDrive for about 6 years or so, and while OverDrive is our headquarters, the Blue Sky campus is in lovely Northeast Ohio and Cleveland. I have been remote since 2016 in Connecticut.
Excellent. And Paige, last but not least.
Hi, I'm Paige Clunie. I work for the publisher Princeton University Press as the Digital Partnerships Manager, and I've been in the university press world for about the past 12 years.
Okay, fantastic. Well, welcome to the program, everybody. Tracy, I'm going to kind of circle back to you. So your institution has kind of been in the fortunate position of growth since COVID happened. And can you talk about that growth and what it's attributed to? And then if you would, just describe how your library has moved further into what we're going to be talking about in this segment, which is library as a service concept.
Well, Tarleton was very fortunate to grow through the pandemic. One of the few universities in the nation, I will say. We really worked hard we never closed our doors, but we tried to make the environment as safe as possible. But we continued to do things like hold orientations, hold graduation ceremonies, I should say. Mm-hmm. And so that attracted a lot of students who really did want the college experience. We also had made strategic partnerships with schools in the area so that we would accept their students who weren't able to go away to their, preferred desired college, but that they could start their programs here. And we really did grow through it. But it did make us realize that The library was not a building, it was all about access. And so that's really what the library focused on during the pandemic, and what we've continued to focus on as working to get access to materials to the students, whatever they need, whether it's a book, an ebook, a video, whatever it is.
Okay, excellent. So really, was it the partnerships with the other institutions in the area that kind of helped your school maintain its or even grow its enrollment?
I think that was a lot of it, but we also retained most of the students we had. A lot of
Okay.
students nationwide took a gap year, and that really wasn't our experience here. We did offer online if that's what they preferred, but if a student is one that really needed to come to campus, then they could, and they kind of got to make their choice, and it worked out well for us.
Okay. So how would you, just another follow up for you real quick, Tracy, the aspect of focusing on services rather than a physical space, how would you kind of, succinctly break out those services that you began to focus on?
Right. We had been using ebooks, but we moved to basically that's all we were purchasing. We did do a mail delivery, so we could send them books. They could send their email their physical books back to us. Interlibrary loan. We have a statewide system called TechShare. So the students were given a TechShare card. So if they couldn't come to our university's library to use it, then they could go to whatever library was near them and use their facilities and their materials. So we tried to think of ways that we could get them access to materials without them ever having to come into our door.
Okay. And then are these initiatives that you feel confident that you'll be maintaining into the foreseeable future, whether pandemic or not, basically?
Yes, a lot
Yeah.
of these services were in place, but we just use them as needed. Whereas now we were able to publicize them and show them what benefit they were to the students.
Hmm. Great. And Susanna, you're in a 2-year institution with 4 libraries in an hour and a half radius of each other, if I have that right. And in an earlier conversation, you noted that enrollment has been down, as have many institutions, and hasn't quite bounced back yet. But even so, as a non-residential institution, the library's traffic had been very light. What new initiatives have you adopted to continue to support students and faculty given that downturn?
Yeah, we've moved a lot of stuff online. One of the big things that we've done and we're still working on is we're creating what we call AIM modules. They're asynchronous interactive modules that kind of focus on the key information literacy skills that we can push out to faculty who can then push them out to the students. They produce a graded certificate that can be turned in. Because we're not seeing students in person, they're not coming to us for reference help or for research help. So this at least gets them some core skills so that they can successfully do their research on their own without us being in the classroom. We've also created what we call the My Library in D2L, which is our course management system. All the students are enrolled in it, and it's set up just like a regular online course, but it's got discussion boards for various topics and areas they may have questions, and all the librarians are instructors in that. So it's a very familiar platform for them since everybody uses D2L. So that's a great way for students to get access to us as librarians and to all of our content. We've done a lot of library virtual welcomes and kind of how-to library videos, and now that kind of the crazy is over, we're trying to ramp up face-to-face stuff again. I think that the library where I am at Floyd campus is had a really successful stress-free finals
Mm.
event at the end of the year. And we had, compassionate pause with the therapy dogs and Legos and coloring books. And we actually had students come in and take advantage of it. So that was really encouraging.
That's excellent. Follow up on the AIM modules. Is that kind of a first year experience type of thing, or is that really for anybody who wanted to? Yeah.
Yeah, it's for anybody. They're key to our library learning objectives, which we kind of have across the board. So, we've got one on search strategies and one on source evaluation and one on APA citations and one on Chicago manual style citations. And so we're going to be rolling out probably 20 of those. And this way, any faculty member who says, hey, I need my students to learn how to do APA, I don't have time to bring you into my classroom to teach it, we can give them this module. Their students can take it. And I think that it's successful. We rolled out the first one in early 2021 after spending a lot of time working on it. And, we've had 1,200, 1,300 students go through it. And so we're using that as part of our assessment too.
Nice. Okay. And then what platform is that on? Are those on?
We use the SpringShare products.
Okay.
So we use Google Sites to host the content, and then we use SpringShare's LibWizard to host the quiz content.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And then with the My Library that you have in D2L, are all of the librarians in your library participating in that? So that's
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Are those services you think you'll keep going? I mean, you mentioned you're kind of working back toward a face-to-face environment, but will you keep these up and running?
Yeah, I don't see these going away.
Yeah.
In fact, I think that we're going to see more students doing this, and we're going to be doing fewer one-shot, go into the classroom for 45 minutes and talk about stuff.
Wow. Okay. And then, Stephen, I'm going to circle back to you as a service provider yourself. I'm wondering how you might be uniquely positioned to not only understand the library's increasing service orientation, as we've been hearing so far, but also support it. What are some of the ways, third parties such as OverDrive can be of help to libraries as they expand and introduce new services?
We definitely noticed trends probably a little bit more quickly. We work with a variety of institutions, and we do see specific trends around whether it's community colleges or bigger schools. And Susanna's right. It is probably disproportionate where the community colleges and two-year institutions have been affected by enrollment, where we're seeing some of the smaller and private schools have actually seen their enrollment go up. Other things like DEI really took off in the last couple of years, and it is in a librarian's DNA to be helpful, and they are always very willing to share information. And it's always great when we have positive examples, like, hey, I don't want to, but we would name specific universities and just show comparable, like, this is what they've done. It's like anything proprietary. They are very happy to share and have best practices, export it from their institutions to other institutions.
Mm-hmm.
I do love Tracy's comment, though. I think she's the one who's most succinctly put it that way. I mean, it really, like, when we met earlier and she said it, I was like, I wrote it down a couple of times, like, libraries are not a building, they're really a service. And that, I think, really encompasses what is going on, because libraries on the academic side have probably been hit harder. Like OverDrive, our bread and butter is probably the public library side. We do a lot in the K through 12, which really exploded for us. But on the academic market, they saw enrollments go down. They had to do massive shifts. They had all kinds of hoops to jump through just to do business as usual. It's just been fascinating to watch how they've done it, but it was harder for them, and they had to do it all remote. It reminds me of the comment about Ginger Rogers. She had to do everything the same thing Fred Astaire did, except backwards and in heels.
Right.
But those are some of the things. It is a privilege to work with librarians, though. Always just so helpful, and you could talk anything through with them. So it is fun to do.
Right. So, and then Paige, very curious on the publisher side to hear how Princeton University Press is, fitting into libraries' evolving service initiatives that we've been hearing.
Yeah. I loved hearing Tracy and Susanna kind of expound on all the programming they offer for their users. And as a publisher, we're always asking, how do we aid in librarians' critical work of connecting the library user with the important scholarship of our authors?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the modern library user has expectations for how they access information. A genuine change in demographic with younger students, digital natives. So, realizing the path of least resistance to information is really important, and reducing friction when it comes to accessing content. And as Tracy said, it's all about access. Libraries are no longer book barns and haven't been for a while. So as a publisher, we're making sure we have good metadata. We invested a lot in technology and keywords for digital distribution to get great, clean, clear metadata and keywords out for our ebooks.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2020, Princeton added multi-user ebook pricing to our front list. Before, for front list books, maybe just a single user access was available to libraries. And now multi-user access is, because we were hearing this is what libraries needed to make content available to their users. And we're also seeking ways to make textbooks available in a way that's financially sustainable for the press. We're working with libraries on this, exploring digital course reserve. And that's a big conversation that we're having, one that was, brought to the fore with COVID, when, a lot of textbooks weren't made available. So, it's finding those balances about, wanting to make as much as possible available in a way that's sustainable for the press.
Mm-hmm. And so, Paige, with those conversations you're having with libraries, is there anything sticking out that's of particular interest to the press in ways that you feel like you can really work with them on?
Yeah, and it's the volume and the workflow that librarians face in the academic setting is just seems overwhelming. So we launched the Library Advisory Board at Princeton to ask these questions about how to better assist with the needs of librarians. And, we heard a lot that faculty requests, are a huge consideration. So we're reworking our website to make it more friendly to recommend books or resources to a librarian directly. Just hearing about kind of the gaps in discoverability for some of our books. And, I think keywords were a major piece to come out of those conversations.
Just to piggyback on that a little bit, I've been really impressed and amazed at how publishers have been so flexible. And I think they're learning as well. I'll give a shout out to Penguin Random House, because one of the things academic libraries strongly prefer is having their content in perpetual access. If they have a part of their collections, part of the curriculum, they know they always want to have that to refer back to. And Penguin Random House didn't do it. And we kept voicing it, and they actually had gone and changed their pricing for the academic market for us. And some of the other New York publishers have as well. And I don't remember offhand, so I don't want to misname anyone. But I've just been really impressed with how publishers have responded, academic as well. Paige, talk about some of the innovative things that she's doing.
Right. Susanna, Tracy, anything spring to mind as you're hearing Steve and Paige talk about those issues?
It's really nice seeing a lot of that perpetual access, unlimited user ebook plans become much more available, because it was so hard. One book, one access made a lot of sense when it was brick and mortar, but when you're suddenly looking at online, being able to, even if it costs a little more, have that unlimited user is just huge for our students.
You just heard from Tracy Holtman, Associate Director of Access and Collection Services at Tarleton State University, Susanna Smith, Acquisitions Librarian at Georgia Highlands College, Paige Clunie, Digital Partnerships Manager at Princeton University Press, and Stephen Rosato, General Manager at OverDrive Academic. This 4-part series is brought to you with support from OverDrive. Join us next week when my guests and I discuss the rise of digital and how that's changing academic publishing, librarian skills development, and the ways in which libraries are measuring success.
And, we even spent a good bit of time building an ROI document, return on investment, saying, okay, so we have study rooms. If the students used the study room this many times, if they were to go out to one of those, commercial rent-a-room areas, which we have some, this is how much money we've saved our students by providing it here.
Yeah.
And, that took us weeks to build all that data, but we're like, look, so for every dollar you spend with the library, we're returning $6 on your investment. And it's not perfect. It's not fully apples to apples, but it's a hard number that like our chief financial officer can look at and go, oh, okay, that makes sense.
That's fantastic to hear. I love that. As always, sponsorship and advertising for the Authority File podcast are handled by Choice's advertising manager, Pam Marino, and all of our episodes are produced and edited by Choice's digital media producer, Sabrina Kofer. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us.